talk, Andy.
Oh, brilliant. Sorry, I didn't realise. Hello, welcome to the pre-show video online bit for Skill Check, the gaming and life podcast that we are recording here. What this is, the idea behind this is to create a podcast, which, you know, we normally listen to, but it turns out that the easiest way to record a podcast with a co-host during a pandemic is to do it online. So therefore, here we are, Zach and myself.
Yeah. You basically get a behind-the-scenes look at a Zoom phone call. This is just a really fancy way of testing how streaming software works in the guise of, well, it might be good to know about this stuff in case we decide to do workshops or have places where young people can come and ask us questions about this stuff in the future. Well, how do we learn about it? Oh, we can learn about it by doing it. Oh, that's a really great idea. And the best way to do that is to do things like this. So this is how we end up here, like this.
I guess it's also a place, so if anyone out there is already streaming and they want to talk to us about something that isn't, I don't know, housing or
Yeah.
Cleaning or how to go out and find a job. If they just want to talk to us about, if someone just out there just wants to talk about something, I don't know, more normal, they want to talk about streaming and video creation and stuff like that, which, I'm down for that. And how not to, whack your microphone with your fingers.
Yeah, there we go. That's always a good skill. I'm aware that I have building work going on across the street, and I don't know if the microphone's picking up that noise. I'm hoping that it isn't. They've just stopped drilling.
Of course they have.
No, legitimately they have. To be fair, here's a little peek into life where I live in Exeter. We have a WhatsApp group, and all the neighbours are in it. And this lady was very kind and gave us all forewarning that she was having a new kitchen. And so so that was quite nice. And like, oh, that's okay. It's going to be noisy. And we're like, oh, thanks for letting us know, type stuff. I went so close to telling you the name of that group, which is also the name of the street which I live on, which you're also not allowed to share online.
Maybe we should all sign up and join that WhatsApp group.
Not that that's possible, just that, for my own...
Like a party or something.
For the safety of me and for the safety of the young people I work with, that's, we don't disclose where we live, just because that's the nature of what we do. And I've come close a few times to put myself in it. I think everyone knows the geographical area, but thankfully that's still quite a big part of Exeter, so... Because I dropped that in by accident once. But, that's the thing. I think that's as much as we're allowed to do. Like, I've narrowed it down to a part of Exeter, which I'm not going to repeat now. But if you feel that way inclined, you can go back through the VODs and find out. You'd have to there's a lot of podcasts to watch to find out one piece of information about me, which doesn't really help you at all.
We could play a game. It's called Where's Zach?
Oh, no. Which is also why my background behind me is just the wall and not out of my window or, anything else that has identifiable features. It's all part of the really complex online policy we have, which obviously we are well versed in because we have read and understood it in its entirety, obviously. Andy's now thinking, is there anything behind me that...
Line 3, second word. Go!
Probably and, or to, or an, or a.
Congratulations, it is indeed A. You got there on your 7th guess.
I don't even know if you're telling the truth or not. I doubt you've just pulled it up, though. No. Guys, I'm not letting Andy get away with this. There is literally no way he had to hand the policy Literally no way on this earth that he had to hand the policy. No way. Not happening.
Oh no.
I don't even know. You think where? I know that you don't even know where to even find that policy. Never mind, read the policy.
Unbelievable that you don't think that I know where to find our work policies.
The question is, do you think that the policy that I'm talking about is in the place where the other policies are? There you go. Because it was written during lockdown. There is no way it made it to the place where all the other policies go. So I don't even know where it is. Which is why I know that you definitely don't know where it is. If I don't know where it is, you don't know where it is. I probably could find it though by typing in my handy search bar in my emails. Policy. Digital policy lockdown. I could probably find it. I'm not going to though. Well.
This must be interesting watching just the two of us trying to subtly, or not so subtly anymore, search on our respective screens.
I'm not searching.
Of course not. No.
My hands are here.
No.
I'm not typing or searching anything anywhere. See?
Yeah, indeed. Anyway. Why did you not just record that little dance?
For what purpose? So you could use it forever and make fun of me.
Outtake collection.
Outtake collection. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
I'm sure one day it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a YMCA outtake collection. Actually, it might be a thing. There might be a collection out there somewhere. I have sent a few clips out to someone. You are looking confused at your headphones. That worries me.
No, my microphone is telling me that it's picking up noise, but I'm in a like dead silent room. But it won't level off at no noise for some reason. Weird. It could be the laptop fan. Could just be humming in the background. Could be.
Well, there was something there. There's nothing overly obvious. I think you're going to get away with it.
Good. Do you need...
Are we being more random than normal
Do
today?
you need me to record the Zoom call, or can you record it? Even though I've sent you the link.
I need you to at least give me permission to record it.
Oh, Andy. Hang on, she's going to mess up with our thing.
Oh, I'm now the host. Excellent. So, for the benefit of those watching, what we do is that we record this on Zoom. And so, what to expect is, in a moment, I'm going to introduce ourselves again. And it's almost going to be like you've not had to sit through an introduction and us to randomly waffle on about
Policies.
horses. We talk about horses?
Policies. Horses.
Policies. Oh dear. Right.
Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? Let's move to the real deal. The thing.
I lost my running order.
Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Skill Check, the Gaming and Life podcast from YMCA Exeter, printed by Andy and Zach. Hi, Zach. Hi.
Okay, I'm gonna press record in a second, and I kind of fancy the idea of you. Okay. Yeah, he's not gonna do the intro. Shame. Hello, welcome to episode 28 of Skill Check for Gaming and a Life podcast from YMCA Exeter, presented by Andy and Zach. And Zach, hello.
Hi.
It's all just too unpredictable this afternoon, isn't it? It's like, is Andy going to be in the shed? Is he not going to be in the shed?
Are there going to be guinea pigs?
Is it?
There aren't. Spoilers for those people.
There
For those
are
lovely
guinea
people
pigs,
that tune in and listen to the audio podcast. I was promised potential guinea pigs, and quite frankly, there aren't any. So, is there really any point going on with the show?
Okay. I feel like I should offer some context, some background information, some information in order for people to gain a level of understanding over Guinea Pig Gate, which is apparently what we're calling this conversation. So I'm having the bathroom redone, and I don't know if you've ever shared a house with a bathroom that's been renovated. That it's not the quietest thing ever, and when you're trying to record anything in the room next to the room that is being battered, beaten, things hammered into, plaster ripped off, tiles taken off, taps put into place, holes sawed apart.
Hang on, your builders have been sawing apart holes. You might want to go in there and check, see what they're doing.
All right, the hole's been sawed in.
They're sawing holes? Wow. Okay.
Yes, we have holes in the ceiling of our bathroom right now.
I mean, just for those of you that are building minded out there, we will let Andy's interpretation of how things are done fly.
Right,
however, you don't saw holes. You might drill a hole and then use a jigsaw to saw out a shape. You don't saw a hole.
That's what I mean.
Sure.
It's noisy. My point is,
it's noisy. Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that for free. I won't make any snide remarks. It is noisy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so, Andy sent me a message saying, I'm going to do the podcast from my shed. First of all, guys, we discovered after it didn't happen, they didn't even have internet out there, so it wouldn't have been able to happen anyway. We realised later, after the fact, that he wouldn't have been able to do it from out there because there's no internet.
No. I would have been able to at least, done the.
Don't
the
say
initial
hotspot.
plan out there.
You won't go try and hotspot.
I was just going to use my 4G.
Oh dear, guys.
That would have been okay. The problem with the idea that we had was, me relocating my laptop, camera, the full-on kit out there was going to be an issue. Doing a little Zoom call would have been fine.
Oh, I see. That's why you needed me to do the Zoom invite so that you could just sit on your phone in your outdoor toilet, come shed, come guinea pig house for the podcast. By the way, guys, I'm not making that up. Andy does still have an outdoor toilet, which is why you can have his bathroom renovated and not freak out about where am I going to go to the toilet, because Andy is still in possession of an outdoor water closet. I mean, yes. I feel like I've gone back in time. Speaking of going places, Andy, today we're going all over the world because today we're doing gaming tourism. You see that segue? You were worried about it. Nailed it.
I love it. That is such a segue into what it is that we're talking about. It was almost as if we planned it. I can assure you we hadn't. It was beautiful.
Thank you. So what is gaming tourism? This is new for me. So you raised it at our
It's
panel
not
meeting.
new for you at all. You just haven't really thought about it. In
Okay,
this
I
sort of
wouldn't have
way.
called it gaming tourism.
Is it gaming tourism? I mean, uh, yeah, it's basically a fancy way of saying, let's go somewhere else. Let's go somewhere different. Let's explore another land
Mm.
from the comfort of our own home.
And I guess
So once upon a
the
time-
caveat, Andy, is
Yeah.
that we've generated a list, / you generated a list, and I've looked at said list. These aren't just your everyday gaming worlds. These are ones that have either faithfully recreated specific locations on the planet, past, present, or future, that show off what it is possible to do in games to the point where it feels like you're in that location. Because let's be fair, gaming tourism. This is about games that excel in showing off a location or setting that is so close to how it would have been or is currently. That's I think we need to qualify it with that kind of.
way of looking at it, isn't it? Yeah.
Because otherwise, every
That's-
game
that's the
is
other-
gaming tourism.
Well,
That's probably another different podcast for another time, perhaps.
is it? I mean, I would argue there's a different experience you get in playing something like Super Mario Odyssey or even Animal Crossing compared to something like The Witcher 3, where none of those games we've just listed have, as far as I know, have real life locations or variations of real life locations.
Sure.
But the first time I proper played The Witcher 3 with like my headphones on and I was riding a horse, whatever his name is, help
Roach.
me out.
Roach.
Yeah. And you know, you could hear the wind, you could see the scenery around you. I was like proper kind of transported to another place, and it felt like I was exploring that other place. And for a moment, I was like, if this is just all the game is, I'd be okay with it. And I don't know if it's lockdown getting to me, or, and it could be the same thing, you know, it could just be parts of me was missing and is missing spending time outdoors. But it very much felt like I was exploring that place, and there's an experience there which I enjoy. Super Mario Odyssey, it's not the same.
No, I think it, and this is why when I look at the list, we're looking at The Witcher 3 is probably the only game on that list that isn't representing a real life world. However, the world that they have built in The Witcher 3 does something that very few games do, which is to really draw you into the world in a way that means that even the most menial kind of mundane things that are happening, riding your horse down a road, feel extraordinary. Like it feels, like you say, it gives the feeling like you could do it forever, right? And there's things to see, there's things to kind of soak in, the music, the sounds, the environments. Even just riding the horse round, like you're going to go from cities to countryside to kind of daytime, nighttime, you know, is it raining, like all that stuff. And that's one of the games that does that really well, is that they sell the world really well, which means that however mundane the thing is that Geralt is doing, it has weight to it that it otherwise wouldn't, because the world is it just feels so alive and you feel so a part of it. Geralt's beard grows longer in that game over time.
Does it?
So the longer you spend in the game, the longer his hair and his beard get. And you can go and like have a haircut and a beard trim, and it will grow again over time. So like the really small things like that. Your clothes look wet when it rains. like, and you're outside in the rain, and they will dry off if you go stand next to a fire. Like, it's it's that level of detail. Yeah, it's that level of detail that makes The Witcher 3 a worthy mention in the topic of gaming tourism, because ultimately it really does feel like you are going to another world and you're taking part in it. And that's part of what vacationing is. That's part of what tourism is going somewhere else you've not been and experiencing it like a person that lives there would, and spending time doing things that will immerse you in the culture that you have visited for however long that it is. And I think The Witcher 3 really does that really well. So definitely a worthy mention. Although it is the only, I guess maybe one of the other ones, but it is the only game here that isn't trying to reflect our real world situation. So, Watch Dogs Legion. We talked about this last week or the week before.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. I mean, Legion was the reason why I kind of thought we should so do other places as a podcast, because yeah, I may have played it a little bit over the Easter bank holiday weekend. I may have experienced that sensation you get, Zach, and I'm sure you get this when you start up a video game for only 10 minutes. Next thing you know, like 1 o'clock, something like that. It's been more like an hour and 10 minutes plus, and it's like, where's the time gone? And the only thing I can think of is, it's just the experience and the exploring.
Yeah, and Watch Dogs Legion is a very faithfully done recreation. I don't think it's quite one-to-one, but it's a very, very to scale replication of London, right? And I think maybe it gets me more because I imagine we've both been to London in real life, right? So to relive some of those memories through a video game, go to places you've been in real life, to see them. Well, did they get this, and how's this, and well, I wonder if this street's there, or to know a bit more of because it's a city in the country where we both live, to know some of the history about London just generally, and then go to a location and go, oh, this is where that happened, or it feels really cool because it's a very very good replication of it, right?
It feels like a good reflection of London.
Yeah.
If it's accurate or not, I don't live there. I don't know London enough.
Yeah.
But it feels it's got those busy looking streets with the really windy streets immediately off it with the high buildings. Got that mixture of kind of modern looking versus right next to old looking. And my days, some of the kind of setups they have there do look very epic just because, it's London. And it's like, you're not meant to have massive fascist type government protests in London.
Yeah. The subject matter it's tough in that game. It does get you asking some very interesting questions, probably maybe for another time, but the setting itself, though, really does sell it. Like, you feel like you're in London. Like, sometimes when games are set in places and you're like, yeah, but it doesn't really feel like that place. Where having been there and, like, experienced it does a good job of conveying how London is. Like, it's busy, there's lots going on, like, it feels like, yeah, the hustle and bustle of the city's there. They did a really good job populating the world. Because there are games that have come out recently, Cyberpunk, where they didn't do a good job really selling the world that they've created is actually a living world that you are participating in. Like, a lot of that world is empty. There's just nothing there. And the streets that are meant to be populated are populated sparsely with like 1 or 2 people. I feel like Watch Dogs Legion, there is people everywhere in that game. Which, it's a city, right?
English sounding insults.
Yeah, and totally some interesting accents.
Not
yeah,
safe for work or little ears or anything like that. But some really great English sounding insults. I'm not exactly words. Well,
Yeah, no, they did. They did
Exactly
well.
as what
They
they
did.
do.
They did do well selling like the kind of regional kind of. You know, they've got every region of the UK is covered. Like, because I think that's why that their recruitment system, where you can recruit anyone in the game, works, because although there is a, it's not quite as random as they probably thought that it might be, but you know, you do get, you know, a flavour from every kind of part of the UK, and they'll talk to each other in the street, and they'll have accents, and like they'll, like you said, they'll have like regional kind of turns of phrase that they use, and so they did obviously did their research, and that's pretty cool. It helps to sell it as like this is the real life London. It's multicultural. There's people from all over the UK, all over the world that like inhabit this place. Some of it feels a little bit on the nose. Some of the London Cockney accents are like almost like, okay, we know you're from London. You don't have to do that or say that particular phrase to sell me on you're from London. But it's funny, you know. It's a little tongue in cheek, which is quite nice. But it did do like just because I think it's because it's one of the more current games on here. It looks pretty as well. It really does look like the water effects and the rain and the weather and kind of the textures. Like they're all as good as it's going to get because it's one of the newer games on this list, and so it is. It is really, really just a joy to see that game running in like max settings. It's nice. I'm gonna have to go back and finish that game, I think, because I haven't finished it, but I think I should. I did enjoy it.
I'm nowhere near halfway. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll give any grief. I'll finish. And on the subject of Watch Dogs, have you played Watch Dogs 2?
I have played Watch Dogs 2. Very, very briefly though.
I think I managed to get it for free like ages ago.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're wanting a flavour of America, I guess, kind of fairly modern, like I would say within the last, like it's set within the last 10 years probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Watch Dogs 2, San Francisco, and I think that was another as faithful as they possibly could recreation of the city. I remember doing there's articles out there about it at the time. I remember them pushing like this is a really like as good as we can get recreation of San Francisco. All the major landmarks are there, all the kind of and again, like they're getting the Watch Dogs franchise is getting kind of a reputation for kind of building these worlds based in real world cities that could actually pass for like the real thing. Which is a testament also to like gaming in general, game development in general has come a long way, and so the idea that developers now can recreate cities from the ground up, almost one for one recreations, is staggering. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. You wouldn't have imagined this sort of conversation, I guess, in a realistic way. What, 15 years ago?
Yeah, 100%. You know, even just going back to the kind of really like old school, like there was a kind of a thing going on Twitter that was like, tweet a picture, don't tell me your age, but tweet a picture of the first game you ever played type meme going around on Twitter, and everyone was taking part in it, and I was like, oh, what was it? And mine was the Duck Hunt on the and that was like, you know, you're talking like there were 4 birds and a dog, and that was it. They were the characters. And they were pixelated.
But you had a gun. You had an actual gun.
You did have an actual gun, and you shot it at the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you try to shoot the dog.
But it was 2D, and that was it. That was the whole game. To think we're talking about you can go and walk around the streets of London and San Francisco as part of the Watch Dogs franchise. That in and of itself is mind blowing. And then you think about what's going to happen in the next 10 years of gaming and how they've kind of got the building of the world down. Imagine in 10 years' time when they can really, really populate it. Like when it really does feel alive. Because we're not quite there yet. There are still limitations in terms of how much a game can process and the technology can process and render at the same time. But imagine like when the technology just gets to a place where it feels the most alive it can possibly feel.
All right. let's take this tangent. Let's run with it. Let's take exactly what you just said and put VR on top of that.
Mm. Yeah, I would love to. I'd love the idea of. I mean, it's equal parts crazy to think that that's something that could happen in virtual reality, and equal and exciting. Then the other part of me is scary at the same time. Like, because we've seen films, you know, there's films and theories and like living our own lives inside virtual reality places because the real world is just a vehicle for living in the artificial world, right? You know, thinking about the films like The Matrix or Ready Player One, or which is a more current idea of like the idea that where people mainly live in virtual reality worlds, in worlds that are made up, and that the real world for whatever reason is just not a place people want to live anymore. The better virtual reality technology gets, the more that becomes a question people will ask themselves, which is scary.
And I guess if we are to, embrace this,
Mm. Yeah.
let's just call it vision of the future. It's not a good vision. It's not a nightmare vision. It is what it is.
Mm.
And if we have the ability to explore somewhere that looks like London, surrounded by characters who react a bit less like computer game people.
Mm-hmm. Or populated full of, or everyone is in there together, right? Virtual reality has the capacity that everyone in the game is an actual person.
Crikey.
You wouldn't even need NPC
And
characters.
with in-game currency being what it is,
Yeah.
are we have we tangented down to a podcast about the future of gaming and technology and how it could actually be just around the corner?
It could genuinely be, and whilst you know, it's crazy to think about what's possible in the future. We're going to turn our attention to the past because there's a few games on this list that have faithfully recreated elements of our own history, and we're going to be taking a brief stop at Assassin's Creed Origins, which is set in Egypt, and Brotherhood we've got down here is set in Rome, and I also want to throw out Odyssey, which is set in Greece, ancient Greece.
Okay.
And what the Assassin's Creed have done is instead of recreate worlds that are current, modern, they've gone the other way with it, and they've gone back and created places from the past, from the Earth's history. And I've got to say, the newer ones, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, are mind-blowingly just... Now, I'm a bit of a history buff. I like history and I like learning about it and knowing about it. To go and be able to walk around some of these places and get a feel for and a flavour for what it would have been like to live in the past when these places were at kind of their peak is staggering, especially Odyssey, which I know you mentioned when we were talking about this, has a history mode which you can enable in the game, which will give you like a virtual tour of like the places that you're in. So you can go to a really famous place in ancient Greece, and it will has all the famous landmarks, and you can go around and it gives you like a narrated look at kind of the different places, and you can walk around and kind of take it all in and do. That's an actual mode in the game. It was that popular and that good at the recreation that they were able to put a mode like that into the game. So it's just about learning about the ancient Greece and the characters and the places and the architecture and the history. And that's not even the main game. The main game is obviously Assassin's Creed. So like to have a whole mode in there that is just about learning about another culture, another time, testifies to how lovingly created the actual world was and how detailed it actually is. And the game is massive.
And I guess that also speaks into how games and gaming seems to be there seems to be almost two ways of looking at it now. One is what is the game like, and that's fine, and that's good, and that is really very important because I don't want to play a game that's rubbish. But there's also the experience that goes alongside it as well. And you could argue that if a game feels fun, then actually the game itself could get carried by just how it feels.
Mm.
I mean, I've kind of got Marvel in mind. I'm trying to think of a bad Marvel film, which people kind of give a free pass to because it's Marvel.
How about the Incredible Hulk? Edward
Yeah.
Norton, arguably the first one. I don't know.
Second. Anyway, yeah.
Well,
Oh, Edward Norton one. No.
Before Iron Man, right?
Any of the Hulk ones. There's
Any of the solo standalone Hulk films.
Hulk films are not good.
They're
But
not
they feel
great.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, it's Hulk, right?
I've seen some people kind of give Watch Dogs Legion like bad reviews because the gaming is repetitive. Either because the game is repetitive or the game modes themselves are vastly different depending on what mission it is you're doing. And I'm like, actually, I quite enjoy all that. And the experience of all of it, and I think I talked about last week how the opening feels like how a James Bond game should be. And yeah, it's the experience of it that takes me along with it. And it sounds like that's what the recent Assassin's Creed games have managed to do really well.
Yeah. Yeah, because we know what Assassin's Creed game is going to be like as much as we know what our Watch Dogs game is going to be like. We know kind of roughly the kinds of missions we're going to get. We know they're going to be repetitive. We know there's going to be map clearing of some kind, so they're going to have repetitive tasks in each zone that are the same from the last zone, but they unlock the same thing in the zone that you've just been in the zone that you're in now, like the towers in Assassin's Creed you climb up. They used to be famous for this, climbing to the top of high locations, synchronizing with the surrounding area and giving you unlocking things on your map. And even the most recent one, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, still has its own flavor of that. We know we're going to get it. They're not going to change it. But
well, that's what a video game franchise does best. It kind of takes what makes the first game work well and runs with it. You could argue that's the reason why Sonic the Hedgehog struggled. And because every time they try and do something different with the franchise, people go, hang on,
this is supposed to be a side-scrolling. Yeah.
Well, that's why Sonic Mania was around for such a long time, because it was a good Sonic game, which just happens to be almost exactly the same as Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 3, and Knuckles.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting that you mentioned Sonic in this particular kind of little discussion here, because Mario made the jump. Haha, made the jump, get it? Mario jumps. Mario made the jump successfully from 2D side-scrolling to 3D worlds. But I feel like the reason why Sonic doesn't quite translate as well is because Mario was about jumping around and going up and down and like platforming, whereas Sonic was very much point A to point B very, very quickly. And I feel like that doesn't translate as well into like an open world setting. It's hard to then do the whole like, well, no, I'm Sonic. I want to run absurdly fast and have to be like... Mario wasn't about that, although there was a time completion element to it. It was much more about the jumping around part of it, which translates well into like a 3D world, whereas Sonic may have struggled a little bit because essentially it's point A to point B as fast as possible. There's my little...
But to bring it back to Assassin's Creed, I've got a confession to make.
You've never played Assassin's Creed?
Not any of the recent ones at all, whatsoever.
Okay. I would...
The main reason is because when I first tried to play, I think the first one, it was so slow on the machine I had.
I mean, it's a great chance to jump in because the most recent franchise of them, so they had like a reboot, like a soft reboot with Origins, which is set in Egypt, like that, and that game is phenomenal. And out of the three new ones, arguably has the most interesting story. So there's no, if you're gonna, and then there's not that many games to catch up on in terms of the story. So like then you'd have kind of the Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla are kind of the newest batch. So
I've got to admit, listening to you talk about the world that is built in that game and the historical accuracy, or at least it attempts at it, does kind of play into the part of me that wants the experience and wants the world more than the game itself.
Yeah, I mean the Egypt is fascinating. Like you have the pyramids and the Sphinx, and like you get to and the contrast between cities and towns versus like the desert in the middle of nowhere is beautiful. And it arguably looked well when it came out, and I think it's done like it still looks great now.
Cool.
Odyssey is just incredible, like ancient Greece. Like they wove in. I won't spoil anything for you in case you do eventually play it, but they managed to capture the kind of the real world versus like mythology quite well. So the balance between what's real and what's not, in terms of like obviously there was an ancient Greece, and obviously they had their own mythos that goes with that, and they tie that in really nicely with the game and how the game works. And so there's some really really cool set piece action sequences revolving around more mythological elements of ancient Greece that are really really cool and worth playing the game just for those things. And Valhalla, well, it's the Vikings. It's Vikings, right? I need to finish it because you play a Viking that ends up arriving in England, right? And so it's a really
you play as a Viking
invading England. I mean, it's
and
good.
As a concept, that sounds quite cool.
Yeah, because I like ye olde England. Like like I said before, I'm a bit of a history buff. I like that stuff anyway. And so to be one of the Vikings that basically invades our country, as it was then, and kind of thinking about that, it's cool. It's really cool. I need to go back and finish this game. I'm the biggest kind of don't finish games I start person ever. Like I'm the habitual starter of like games, but I've made a new pact with myself that I'm gonna finish more games this year. I want to finish more, and I've already done it. I've already finished 2 games this year. So like I'm doing better. I made a commitment to finish games I start.
Not bad.
Granted, one of them was a game I've tried to play like 4 times in the past, and I was like, I have to finish this game. And then the one that I've just finished recently was Outriders, which is brand new as of last week. And I finished the story campaign. Yeah, I mean, I basically no-lifed it for 4 days over the bank holiday. So take from that what you will.
I was like, it's quick. Is it because it's a quick game, or is it because
a bit of both?
He did nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's with server problems as well. So like there has been a lot of like disconnects and stuff. So it's not super long, but it is longer than most kind of looter shooter games. The story campaign, and I also finished every side quest and all the collectible missions you can do. And I got to I just this afternoon unlocked the final world tier, which is 15, which is like a incremental difficulty system that goes up through 1 through 15. And I have unlocked the end game, which is like supply drop time trial things, which I'm not super into, and they're frustrating more than they are fun at the moment because they're disconnecting from the server. So you can get halfway through one and get disconnected, and then you lose the progress. So until they've kind of got that sorted out, I'm probably not going to play it again. But as like a really fun game that encourages different builds, different characters, kind of how they synergize with other players that you play with, in like, got lots of potential. But yeah, it was fun. Although it's a bit of a tangent from gaming tourism, but it was fun. It was really fun.
But that's the joy of being a tourist, though, isn't it?
It's true.
Wander around, you see what you can find, you explore different alleyways, and you wander down it. And I feel that we've verbally done that at points over the last 25-30 minutes or so. So yeah, this has been very much a tourist themed episode.
Yeah. And I would encourage people to take that step back. So, like in games that offer you that time to just wander around and have a look, do wander, especially like something like Watch Dogs Legions. Do wander around that alley where you think, I wonder if they've put anything down there. As a game developer, like I wonder if they and just go take a look. I imagine there's lots of things to see in these kinds of games that it just takes you kind of taking a step back from the gameplay, as Andy was saying, and just taking in the actual game world just by walking around and seeing what they've done and where they've placed things. And sometimes the really mundane things that game developers do can be the most rewarding, but you have to go and find them. And maybe we should all be better game tourists. We should probably spend more time just having a look round. And less time just blowing things up or whatever is the game's asking us to do. I think make a more concerted effort to take these worlds in, because people have spent a considerable amount of their lives working on these games, developing them, putting them out there. Then the least we can do when we're playing is take a step back and really soak in the world that they've provided us with.
Yeah, and especially, if you're not in a position to go out and soak up the world around you, which, a lot of us aren't at the moment for various obvious reasons, or getting out and about exploring and just being somewhere and just appreciating what you see. If that is a difficult thing to do, then these games and others kind of give that ability and the chance to do so. And as you said, let's not all try and rush through it all really quick.
Well, this has been one of those podcasts where we've stayed on topic largely, and we'll fall within kind of the arbitrary time limit we set upon ourselves, which then means that all there is to do today is for me to say, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Skill Check, the YMCA Exeter World Gaming and Life podcast. I got there. And as always, you can find us on all great podcast providers. Do search for Skill Check Podcast, and you will find us. If you'd rather go a different way around, you can always go to the YMCA Exeter website, which is www.ymcaexeter.org.uk, and you can find a link to the podcast on the homepage. If you scroll about halfway down, you'll find it there. And if you'd like to get in touch with us and kind of ask us questions, or kind of say how much you've enjoyed the podcast, or really just communicate with us in any way at all, you can do that by emailing us at response@ymcaexeter.org.uk, and we'll get those emails and look through them and respond if you've asked us questions. And equally, if you have any ideas for what we should talk about on the podcast, then feel free to get in touch with us there. So this has been Skill Check Podcast. I've been Zach, he's been Andy, and we will see you all next week.
Cool. Right, I have pressed the stop button. The audio version has come to an end.
Now it's just us on the internet.
Yes. And so, if I was to say Oculus Rift to you, what would you say?
I would say, don't get it.
Why not?
Unless I'm being really dense, what's the really good VR at the moment? I think it might be Oculus Rift. It depends what you're going to get. It's
no, it's not Oculus Rift. It's Quest.
Quest 2 is what I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so the Oculus Quest 2.
That one.
Then a big...
Rift is the one that's finishing.
Yeah. Oculus Quest 2 is the new Oculus Quest VR handset, and it's supposed to be, and it's fully wireless, and it's supposed to be amazing. Cool. Like legitimately supposed to be amazing.
if I get a chance to do a hands-on session with that, would that make for a bonus
Yeah.
episode?
I would love to talk about virtual reality, and you can come on and talk about your experience with it, your hands-on impressions. That'd be really cool. Because I've not had a chance to. I've not played any virtual reality at all. I've not had a chance to. So, if you get a chance to go and try it, I mean, the reason why this particular set is as good as everyone is claiming it to be is because it's wireless. The big thing at the start was like, it's too cumbersome. You got to be attached to your like your monitor or like whatever, and you're like, you can only go as far as the wire goes. And obviously, when you're in VR, you're not paying attention to where the wires are. So like, there was incidents. But the Oculus Quest 2 all-in-one VR headset is supposed to be amazing. I mean, looking at the prices as well, I thought it was way more expensive than that. I'm tempted. I think it was just really hard to get a hold of because I think it was very, very popular.
I'm gonna see what it's like.
Is this like? How have you wangled this? Who's got a set?
So it's a family member that's.
Oh, is it now?
got a set. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, he kind of sent me a WhatsApp message. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. It's supposed to be super like really good, and there's some actually really good games now. Like that's the other thing. The flip side of there's a caveat to virtual reality when it first came out. It was too cumbersome and wasn't very. You couldn't move around, which kind of defeated the point of it. And the games weren't very good.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
But now,
no, that is it. It's the thing that hardware will live and die on.
Yeah.
If there isn't the software to support it,
and it's not fun to use it,
you're not going to have take up of it.
But apparently, this nails it. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Apple do with it. You know, rumors of Apple kind of moving into that space. But...
And I'm pretty sure Oculus is Facebook owned? ?
Yes.
Which means then, you know, if you get an Oculus Quest 2, you're signing your life away to Facebook and them taking all your information and data, and they'll take it however they can. So if you like me and don't have a Facebook account and like try and have a really low digital footprint and like don't have all your data just floating around there for people to sell and use, Oculus Quest, I'm pretty sure, needs to be integrated with the Facebook account to be used.
Indeed.
Which is how they did it. It's how they sucker you into it, right? I have a work account I would probably use, and then I think we would probably use it. We'd hopefully probably use it as work. I'd love to have a virtual reality setup we could invite young people along to and try it out. That'd be pretty cool. So that'd be a good way around of doing it. But I don't think I would. As cool as it is, I don't think I would get it because I don't want Facebook knowing all of my information and just immerse and like just selling it off to whoever they feel like will buy it. And if that's a prerequisite.
I'm torn, because on one hand you've got the Quest, on the other hand you've got the Apple headset.
Yeah, and I think Apple are just as bad as Facebook when it comes to that stuff.
So expensive.
Yeah.
But the Quest 2 feels somewhat more still expensive. But there's expensive, and then there's signing your life away type expensive for 2 to 3 years worth of repayments.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. Is the short answer, but I'm intrigued about the technology, and I think as the tangent suggested, I am intrigued about where we are going with it.
And just a quick FYI for people out there that have caught us talking about it and are like, ooh, if you're going out and trying to buy one of these or debating it, remember that there's a few different optional things that you can select when you're purchasing one of these, which probably just be aware that there's a 64 gigabyte and a 256 gigabyte version of this headset. And in today's money, with games being what they are, I would strongly advise you, if you're going to invest in an Oculus Quest 2, save up a little bit longer and get one that's got the bigger hard drive. You want to be able to download more than one game, let's just say, potentially at a time. which does increase the price obviously by about £100.
A lot.
So
I think, yeah. I'll see what my hands-on experience.
yeah, let me know what I can't wait to hear what games you tried out. There are
I
some
would
pretty
love
good
it
ones.
if I can try out the Star Wars one.
Star Wars, yeah, Bridge Commander. No, Squadron, the Squadron one. Sorry, there's Star Trek. There's Star Trek Bridge Commander, which is like Bridge Crew, which is like you're on the crew of the Star Trek Enterprise, and you operate one of the comms,
Enterprise.
the Enterprise.
Star Wars.
And there's Star Wars Squadrons, which is like the team-based virtual reality piloting a Star Wars ship shooter thing. That is a game that you should look out for. He might have already downloaded it. It's Half-Life Alyx. It's supposed to be the best virtual reality game that you can play. So
Hold on. This is
if you have the option to
Tales from
choose,
Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Or not on
Okay.
Oculus.
Okay. If you have any kind of input, if you're allowed to say beforehand which game you'd like to try, get him to download Half-Life Alyx. I've watched people play it on Twitch, and I've not heard a bad thing about it. And it's supposed to do virtuality the best kind of way in terms of like mechanics and the world and how good it looks and how it makes you feel. It's supposed to be really good. Half-Life Alyx, yeah. It's a survival game, so you might cry a bit, I don't know, or scream. I don't know what the first time doing virtual reality is like. I imagine it's pretty terrifying. But this game is this game got review scores. I mean, it got 10 out of 10 on Steam. It's got 93% on Metacritic, 92% on PC Gamer. Like, this is the best virtual reality game you can play. So if you have a chance,
Oh my days! Even the trailer, but the concept that which has been introduced to me via the trailer and knowing this is a VR game is terrifying. But yeah, I can't stop watching it.
yeah, it's you have things jumping at you and falling around you and other things. But it looks gorgeous. Like it sells the whole. As we've been talking about video game tourism, it really does sell you being in the world. Plus, it's virtual reality, so you're actually looking around. You're actually it's supposed to be an insane experience from start to finish. So.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop watching that now because
No spoil. Don't spoil yourself on it.
distracted and scared and I can't stop watching all at the same time. There we go. But there we go.
There we do go. And there we should probably go.
Yes. I'm acute. I've just become aware of how many mugs I have collected on my desk. I should probably do something about the mug museum.
That's true. Well, guys, this has been, as always, fantastic to be live here on the internet. And if anyone caught this and is around or was around, thanks for coming. If anyone's watching this VOD in the future, thanks for watching our videos, wherever you have. And, like I said, if you do want to have some input into the show at all, then please do get in contact with us, however you get in contact with us. And we'll see you all next week for more Skill Check podcast goodness.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.